In this episode, we will answer why you feel shaky after not eating for a while, despite your blood sugar being totally normal when you check it. You might think initially this is hypoglycemia because you have all the symptoms. You feel shaky, dizzy, lightheaded, moody, irritable, feel on the verge of passing out, hangry. And despite all of these symptoms, your blood sugar looks normal, or it might even be high when you check it. It might be in the hundreds, 110, or it might be in the 90s, the 80s, and 70s, but it's not below 60. And you're like, wow, I have all of these symptoms, but they don't seem to be blood sugar related, at least on the read it. We find this is one of the most common questions that we see across the board. It's frankly surprised me at how common it was because I started as a dietitian over a decade ago. And even I, from my training, we associate hypoglycemia with blood sugar less than 70. And it became really interesting as I got into this. I started seeing more and more commonalities where people were reporting that, hey, I have blood sugar symptoms, but when I use a CGM or when I use a glucometer, it doesn't show up like that. So what is that? And for many of these clients, they are very health conscious. They are eating frequently, typically every 2 to 3 hours to avoid these symptoms from happening. They have maybe cut out certain types of carbs. Maybe it's the grains, maybe it's the sugars, maybe it's even the healthy carbs, the oatmeal, the rice, the potatoes, right? But they're still experiencing symptoms. Maybe they've tried certain diets, the keto, the carnivore, maybe even pro-metabolic. Maybe they've cut out exercise or walks because they've noticed whenever they tax their body or put more demands on their body, they're more at risk for these blood sugar crashes. Maybe they've dabbled into supplements, vitamins and minerals, the magnesiums of the world, the blood sugar support supplements, the stress manager supplements, maybe some labs, maybe some testing around hormones, around blood sugar, around vitamins and minerals. And yet, despite that, it still doesn't seem to move the needle for them. This last piece I think is super underrated because when this is more intense and you're experiencing these symptoms every 2 to 3 hours, what goes into your mind is it's always planning, worrying, thinking about food. It's always scanning your environment, scanning whatever meals that you're being presented and asking yourself, hey, is this going to crash me? If and when this leads to a crash, will I be okay? And before you know it, you start living this very limited life. It shrinks. And for many people, that can feel really terrible because life is meant to be lived. It's meant to have that freedom, that spontaneity. And when that is lost, especially when you can't do certain things without negative consequences happening, you are significantly less present. You don't enjoy your life as much as it could. You're restricting some of your favorite outlets and connecting with people because you're so worried and concerned about these symptoms coming up. Because of that, too, you have mental exhaustion. Many times we see clients with brain fog, but also physical exhaustion of these lows happening time and time and time again. And if you think about it too, what we see often happening for some of these clients is they will wake up in the middle of the night and have some of these symptoms. They might even feel hungry during the middle of the night or shaky or dizzy or that racing heart in the middle of the night. And it's like, wow, I can't even make it through the middle of the night. I can't get the rest that I need to fully recover and feel energized again. And so it creates a big strain on their life quality, both in terms of having to manage this, but also what they have to do and what they have to get rid of in their life that's also really important to be able to make this a little bit easier. So the question becomes like, what do we do about this? Because most of the time what we'll hear from our doctors is, hey, have higher protein, eat more fiber, eat your protein and fiber before you have your carbs. Make sure you're cutting out grains. Make sure you're cutting out simple carbohydrates and sugar. Make sure you're staying active, and yet still all of these things are not moving the needle. So it's like, what is causing this? I feel like I'm doing everything right. I feel like I'm eating healthy, I'm living healthy, I'm doing all the right things, but it's not leading to that stable blood sugar, that stable energy throughout the day where I don't have to be concerned about eating every 2 to 3 hours. I can forget about eating. And all of a sudden I'm hungry 4, 5, 6, 7 hours later, and I'm still feeling great? How can I exercise without this being an issue? How can I socialize, eat out, eat the same carbohydrates that are triggering me right now, the oats, the rice, the sugar, the desserts, the pizza? How can I eat those without having blood sugar issues after the fact and have to pay for that? If you are somebody that is dealing with these hypoglycemic symptoms, yet have no ability to confirm it from a blood sugar perspective, the reason why this is happening is because the low blood sugar is not happening at the blood sugar level, right? When you check your CGM, when you check your glucometer, it appears normal or high. Where this is happening is at the cellular level. And when we don't have enough energy at the cellular level, it becomes a crisis, an energy crisis. What is really hypoglycemia? It's really an energy crisis because things stop working as well. We get the dizziness, the lightheadedness, the shakiness. We get all of these symptoms when our body is really just running out of energy. And so how do we get and maintain that energy level so we're not getting these symptoms? The thing that we're missing is called metabolic flexibility. I have a 3-step guide, very short, in the description that allows you to first understand what is contributing to this metabolic inflexibility and how you can gain metabolic flexibility to get rid of these symptoms once and for all. This is the thing that, one, helps us to process carbs more effectively, so we're not getting that big energy crash where we're feeling dizzy and lightheaded and anxious and irritable and moody. We're not getting that because our body does a better job at processing it and using it for energy versus running out of energy like we do when we have these hypoglycemic symptoms. Number 2, when we're able to process this food better, when we have that metabolic flexibility, we also have the ability for these meals to last longer than 2 to 3 hours, because our body has the ability to kick in more energy when the meal no longer is present. So we eat the meal and we digest the meal, we absorb the meal, but what happens in the in-between for normal individuals that do not have blood sugar challenges? Well, our body starts to release energy. It releases energy from our liver, for example. It releases energy from our fat stores if it's been a little bit longer. But either way, we have a slow drip of that energy where we're not running out of gas. We're giving more gas into our system, even though we're not eating. And that's where our body can have this backup system that comes into play. But if you do not have metabolic flexibility to be able to get that backup system to get going again, start releasing energy in between meals where we're not obviously consuming it, then we're going to end up with energy deficient symptoms. In other words, hypoglycemia symptoms, the shakiness, the dizziness, the lightheadedness, the feeling like you're going to pass out. Or for some of our clients, they have passed out and have gotten injured in that process. And so it feels very unsafe. You don't feel like you have trust in your body to say, hey, I'm going to stay stable. And it's not because of your nutrition. It's because you do not have metabolic flexibility to, one, process those carbs and to get those meals to last so that you can generate energy in between. When you have metabolic flexibility, you'll have stable blood sugar and energy all across the day, no matter what you're eating, no matter what you're doing or exercising or moving or what kind of stressful day that you've had. You'll have stability. And that's what all of us want, because that allows us to build that trust in our body that says, hey, even if I eat this thing, whatever that thing might be, even if I eat this potentially triggering carb, at least it was in the past, I trust my body to handle that without experiencing symptoms. And when we can do that, not only do we avoid the symptoms, we'll have better energy, we'll feel more full and satisfied for a longer period of time. We're not waking up in the middle of the night with that racing heart, with feeling sweaty and lightheaded. We're not waking up having to pee. We're not waking up needing to snack because we're so ravenously hungry. We're less mentally stressed because we're not trying to micromanage a condition that we really don't know why it's happening. And if you think about that micromanagement too, that is a very stressful approach, yet it's the only one that we know that has at least temporarily worked to help to create stability. And that's eating every couple hours. That's constantly thinking and preparing and grabbing food to take with us to make sure that we stay stable. When we can also do that and we're not waking up in the middle of the night, we get better rest, we feel better in the morning, and that in itself creates more metabolic flexibility. So we're processing our meals and those meals last longer. And then lastly, many of our clients that have these symptoms, they're also wanting to lose weight. And so if you think about that, if we're not having to snack so frequently, if we're not having to eat every 2 to 3 hours and really rely on meals to create that stability, one, less calories are coming in. So it creates more of a calorie deficit when we're able to do that. But if you also think about it, when we have metabolic flexibility, we're able to tap into some of our fat stores, use them for energy, again, instead of going to outside food, outside snacks and meals to create that stability. And so what you'll find for a lot of our clients that do this, not only will their blood sugar stabilize and do it without relying on supplements and medications or tons of dietary restrictions where they're cutting out carbs, in fact, quite the contrary, and they're also able to lose weight in that process because they're fixing the root, the reason why this is happening. We think symptoms are totally disconnected, but in fact, many of them are very much connected. And when you improve one area, it makes the other area significantly easier to get to where we want to go. If you would like to learn how to get your metabolic flexibility back so that you no longer have to deal with these symptoms and can do it while eating carbs, even the ones that are currently triggering you, do the activities, even the ones that are currently triggering you, get back to socializing, get back to having more of that spontaneity and enjoying life instead of worrying about your blood sugar, I have a 3-step guide, very short, in the description. It is a simple, short 3-step guide that allows you to first understand what is contributing to this metabolic inflexibility and how you can gain metabolic flexibility to get rid of these symptoms once and for all.